of God. He's just highlighting the fact this is all His gift. And you know what? He does tell us what our part is here, but He devotes one word, one single word to telling us what our part. All the rest of this is telling us about God and His grace and what He's done for us and His finished work and being seated in heavenly places with Christ. One word He devotes to our part, faith. We're supposed to trust in Him and to rely upon Him and to believe that all those things that are causing us problems, and it might be people, like He said to the Romans, I'd like to think that, I have an attitude that I'm a friendly person. I think I can get along with everybody. I'd like to think that everybody can get along with me. But you know what? That's not always the case. But, here's the thing. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight with people. I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to put my feet up and rest with Christ and just let God deal with it. Is that okay? For by grace you're saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it's the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. And verse 10 is a good one to conclude with. It says, we are His workmanship. That's how we should think of ourselves. We're not our own workmanship, but His workmanship. Created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. The Amplified is especially good, and I'm going to conclude with that. Ellie, could you give me the Amplified on this? For we are God's own handiwork, His workmanship, recreated in Christ, born anew, that we may do those good works which God predestined or planned to beforehand for us. Listen to this part. Taking paths which He prepared ahead of time. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Like a loving Father, laying out paths before us. See, it's easy, if we forget about God, it's easy to think about our lives and think about the future, be filled with anxiety and fear and dread and worry about things. Well, what about this? What about that? What about what might happen? And we've just read from some things we've said, there is opposition. But you know what? It says He has prepared paths ahead of time for us to take. Taking paths He prepared ahead of time that we should walk in them. Living the good life which He prearranged and made ready for us to live. So what do we do concerning those things that seem contrary to that? Well, what I get is that Jesus, you think about Him. He could look around on the planet Earth if He wanted to and get a little bit frustrated. Don't you think? He could look around and say, there's a lot of, wait a minute, God, I thought I was King of Kings and Lord. Look at this, all this opposition to me. He doesn't do that. It says He's seated and He's just henceforth expecting until everything contrary to Him is brought under His feet. That's what I read. So I think we should just follow His example and just do the same thing. Just rest and say, you know what? I'm just going to stay in peace. The God of peace will shortly bring all these things under my feet. I'm just going to trust in Him to do it.